So I got to the end of the video where I talked about the classes that you would take if you majored in speech communication, and it completely slipped my mind to talk about extracurricular activities that would let you apply some of that knowledge outside of a classroom setting. So I'm making a separate video to talk about the forensics team, the speech and debate team at Northwest Christian University, because that's very complicated, and it may be that there are people who just want to hear about that because you've competed in forensics before reaching college. But I'm going to talk in this video about the extracurricular activities we have at Northwest Christian that fit well with majoring in speech communication other than the forensics team. And I'll start with our Honor Society. We have a chapter at NCU of the National Honor Society for Speech Communication Majors, which is called Lambda Pi Eta. It's named that because the Greek letters stand for logos, pathos, and ethos, which are the principal proofs that Aristotle talks about in the Rhetoric. And I think of all the National Honor Societies I've ever heard of, one of the things I like best about it is we have the coolest slogan, because our slogan is a quote by General George Patton. And the quote is, "Say what you mean what you say." I mean, how can you sum it up better than that? To get into Lambda Pi Eta, you first of all have to have had 30 credits of college communication classes, which means that most people aren't even eligible to be in Lambda Pi Eta until they're juniors and some until they're seniors. You need to have a 3.0 grade point average overall, and you need at least a 3.25 average in all of your communication classes. Now, for the most part up until now, we have inducted people into Lambda Pi Eta, our chapter of Lambda Pi Eta, just as an honor, and we haven't done much beyond that, but we're moving toward doing more service projects, taking all of these highly polished, highly concentrated communication skills that we built up and making them available to serve other people. And that's something that we may be doing in conjunction with another development in the speech communication program, the Communication Lab. And what we want to do is we want people who've had several communication classes to be available to other students at Northwest Christian who have to do similar things, who have a need for some outside consultation on their communication skills. So people who've had public speaking and advanced public speaking as well may make themselves available in the Communication Lab to help anyone who has a presentation to give in any of their classes, maybe in a science class, maybe in a business class. People who've had the conflict management class may make themselves available for hours in the communication lab for people who are having roommate conflict or conflict with a professor or conflict with a coach. People who've had beginning and advanced interpersonal communication may make themselves available to other students who just want to brush up on their interpersonal skills, who feel like maybe they're not making that good of an impression on the people that they meet. And people who've had nonverbal communication really could provide a service by giving some consultation and some feedback, maybe even practice interviews, to seniors who are about to go out on the job market. Because one thing that anybody who's been out and has either been on the hiring end or has interviewed for a lot of jobs will tell you, they make a first impression almost immediately. They take in a lot of nonverbal information at once, and that's the impression that they make. And as you come in the door, you want to make a very powerful impression that you would be a valuable addition to the organization. So members of Lambda Pi Eta in particular, and students who take part in the Communication Lab in general, really I think could make a huge difference with a lot of NCU students from a lot of different majors as far as helping, taking these skills and putting them to work even while you're still an enrolled student here, even before you go out into the workplace off campus. There are a couple of other extracurricular activities that I want to talk about, and they're not officially affiliated with the speech communication program, but they're ones that a lot of speech communication majors find themselves getting involved in. And one of them is the street drama team Parable. The street drama ministry, what they do is they go out to public places. They've done it in downtown Eugene, they've done it up at Portland, they've done it in a lot of different places, and they do wordless drama. It's all mime, and it's all done to music. Because people who are going to choke on the gospel, and these dramas are all gospel presentations, or they are about our relationship with Christ and how it can free us from addiction to things like possessions or substances or feeling like we have to be good looking or popular enough. These dramas, they aren't a lot of talk. They aren't a lot of the same worn out words that people have heard over and over again. Instead, people can watch them. People can see human beings interacting moving. And what some of our students will do, the ones who are not performing in a drama in a particular moment, they'll move among the crowd that gathers to watch, and they'll just start conversations, just find out how people are doing. And sometimes that turns into an opportunity to witness and present the gospel, and sometimes it's just an opportunity to show someone that they're cared about, that you do value them, even though you don't necessarily stand to gain from interacting with them. You're not there to exploit them. The street drama team actually was started by a speech communication major, Brittany Styling, and a lot of the speech communication majors have taken part in it, so that's the kind of thing that might appeal to you. Another institutional grouping, I guess, that we have here on campus that a lot of our students wind up in is student ministries. Our campus pastor, Troy Dean, brings in a number of students to coordinate the ministry work that NCU takes part in. So we've had speech communication majors who've been in charge of outreach to the community, where we go out to some of the street folks, some of the homeless population, and in particular the homeless teens in in Eugene, and we spend time with them and we talk with them and just let them know that they're valued, they're not forgotten, they're not garbage. God made them and looked upon them and saw that they were very good. And just to give them that kind of care. We've also had speech communication majors been the coordinators who put together all the details for some of our mission trips, both inside the United States and outside the United States. So if that's the kind of thing that appeals to you, that's the kind of thing you can definitely get involved in. Because as you're learning these skills, having the immediate opportunity to put them to work is a way to develop them and build them up even more. And as you get to where you are proficient and even extremely effective, you don't need to wait until someone makes you a job offer. These are things that you can put to work, that you can put into service in building the kingdom the same day you've got them. And as far as I'm concerned, you definitely should.